Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our free enterprise community race for May 18th, 2020. I am Hupfin. We have Dathus and Gundam pilot Spaz handling things in the background. And to introduce my co-commentator, Lore Master Modus, I would like to ask, how do you feel about doors?
I hear we're ignoring the contents tonight.
I'm afraid we are. So, this week's flag set is kind of playing around with the objective system that we have available to us in Free Enterprise. Modus, would you like to dive in a little more on what our runners are going to have to deal with today?
Sure thing. The long story short is our runners are going to have to find 4 specific key items in order to gain the crystal today. They need the package, the Baron key, the Earth crystal, and the Luca key, and they need to unlock the areas associated with those key items in order to gain their crystal.
Yes, the key word there is unlock. All of those items have some kind of unlocking going on, and then there is a character or an item check or a boss, something behind it. Don't worry about what's behind it. Don't worry about what's behind curtain number 3. Just look at curtain number 3 and then open it. So our runners may very well never go into the Tower of Zot, but they are going to need that Earth Crystal to complete this seed.
That's exactly right. And although our treasure chests tonight are just the regular standard treasure chests, you're probably going to see at least some of our runners choose to open more chests than usual because the pass is not going to be at a key item location tonight. Instead, we're going to have 3 copies of it hidden in some random chests.
Yep, those will be chests somewhere on the Earth or in the underground, never on the moon, because that's just silly. But there is still value in going to the moon. Our randomization, we're mixing in the moon bosses. So those are possible locations for key items. But we're not including the summons quests. So the Fame Arch is even less valuable in this seed because those are summons fights.
Yeah, so we're going to see a lot of pretty standard early gameplay, but then we're going to see some branching out after that, depending on what our players find. With the moon in the mix, you never know who's going to kind of try to gamble on some early easy moon bosses.
Yeah, and of course we will have free bosses available, so if you find Dark Imps up there and you've got your powered up Tella with a Source of Stone, or even a handful of coffins, that fight becomes a non-event. We will also have the free key items, so I expect a lot of runners will make a quick trip over to Troya to visit Edward in the bed and get the item off of that. And unfortunately, that means we won't be very interested if we find Demist.
Yeah, we'll have to see how many of our runners actually remember what the flags are because in general, no free key item and no free characters kind of go together in our flag sets a lot of the times. We have just no free characters tonight, so it'll be interesting to see who forgets that Bedward is actually going to have an item for them today.
Yeah, and it's entirely possible that is the only Edward that we see, because we have set it to 9 distinct characters. So at least 3 of the cast of 12 we won't be seeing at all. But I say at least 3 because we've also removed the guarantee. So we might get 9 distinct characters. We might get 8 or 4. We'll have to see what the randomizer decided for us.
We see some of our players with some character naming shenanigans here, so enjoy that while you can see them. We may not see some of these characters again, so.
Yeah, it does seem like Lord Bobry has a bit of a Sonic appreciation going on. Is that how I'm meant to read those?
You know, when I see "Open Your Heart," I always think of Yuki Kajiura, the composer that did the music for Dot Hack Sign. So I don't know.
Well, we do know that we are starting with a Pan, as we have Porum and Kane making their way onto the airship.
It's not a bad start. Spellcaster Kane has a lot of equipment available to him as well. So overall, not bad. Not the fastest start, but definitely not going to brick anybody.
Yeah, but we should quickly mention our runners on the restream for this evening. We have the Harumph, Xenocat 823543, PK 4787, and Lord Bobry.
Yes, and joining our featured runners are 18 other runners off screen. So we have a total of 22 runners tonight. Going to be a good race. We'll have to see if there's any sniping done off stream.
We'll have to see at what point our runners decide to snipe that Tella out of the Baron Inn, or if they bother at all, given that it's a Lunar Sparkle Guardian.
Yeah, you will like to see, depending on the character start, you'll see people try to get rid of the Baron Inn early, but not with these characters starting, and definitely not with a Moon boss there. It's a little too risky.
Xenocat also giving us a quick peek into the Baron item shop. Nothing of particular interest. And we do have the Harumph rolling over to Troya, fully aware of the flag set, so that'll be one free key item for them.
Yeah, you know, there is that saying in the community, check your free items first. Don't never leave them on the table.
Yep, the only thing it costs you is time, which, you know, this is a race, so that's very important, but so is that Magma key. That opens up a door, and we are very concerned about its contents, given that its contents are the entire underground.
Yes, as a spectator, you hate to see it because runners kind of struggle a little bit more with the hook route, but Magma Key is going to mean kind of access to a lot of good stuff for our runners, or at least guaranteed that they're going to be able to get there without going through some potentially hard boss fights. We do have gated shops tonight, so the underground shops are going to be much better than the above ground shops just by default. So.
Yeah, we will have to see how much our runners bother to go to shops, given we have the reduction on sale prices. So we're not going to see as much money on this seed compared to some other flag sets. This is more like later tournament kind of deals where you're having to work with the items that you find rather than what you can buy.
Right, you are. It's going to be mostly just for your essentials today, the life potions, the cabins, the cure 3s if you feel like you're light on healing, and that'll be about it.
We are seeing that the early loot seems to be working well for our runners. They're eagerly equipping their Cane and their Porum. So that's at least good news that they're not finding just completely unusable or completely trash items. They are finding an Edward up on Hobbs, and Xenocat has no interest in a bard this evening.
Yeah, that's a big nope. Really, any boss fight not really worth Edward at this point unless we find a niche use for him. We do have the spoon flag on tonight, so Edward can equip the spoon, but you're going to want to not waste that time this early in the race. Some runners may opt to take that fight just to know exactly what that boss is if they forget kind of the color palettes, but otherwise I don't think we'll see many people taking it right now.
We might see PK take it, considering they just found the spoon in the Antlion Cave. So we'll see how important of a factor that is.
That early spoon word is not a bad deal at all. Can really make the overworld pretty trivial as long as you don't get like an unlucky swoon on Edward.
Yeah, unfortunately we've disabled Adamant Armor, so he won't be ready for anything, but he'll still be pretty strong, especially at this time, as we do see PK going and picking up the Bard and fighting a Mylon fight.
See, now we have to see if Xenocat and the Harumph go back and get that Edward once they find this spoon. It's always interesting to see what runners will do after they've gotten information they didn't have before. Meanwhile, we see Lord Bobry completely branching off from the others, going ahead and dropping the Magma Key right now.
Yeah, like you were saying, the underground has a bit of extra weight to it in terms of shops and just generally speaking. And there is a freebie down there. The Fey March, the summons fights won't get you anything, but there's still the Rat Tail chest.
Yeah, and you never know what the talking to Yang will yield. Sheila 1 could give you some other sort of advancement as well. So, I mean, going the freebie route underground real quick is not a bad play at all.
Yep. Again, you won't get the item from the Sylphs, but you're still kicking off really the most obnoxious quest to deal with, or at least potentially obnoxious. And given that our runners started with the pan, this just becomes a free and easy check.
Yeah, guaranteed no double dip on Fabul. So I can definitely see it's not a bad choice at all to go get that pan. That way you go to Fabul for the Fabul check itself and the two pans all at the same time.
We do see PK, though, is going to head over there early. Maybe interested in the shop, but also the heal that you get out of doing the fight both before and after.
Yeah, you know, it's too bad this isn't last week's Fight the Elements flags, because we've already seen quite a few fights. We've seen the Elements here, and we saw Mylon, so it's coming fast and furious. We got a question in chat from Spear Tongue about Edward. Yeah, under these flags, Edward can equip the spoon, gives him 255 attack power. His strength is still pretty low, so it doesn't automatically make him amazing, but here at the beginning of the game, it's quite a lot of physical damage than you're kind of meant to have.
Yeah, and we will note that the 255 strength on that spoon, that is vanilla. That is how strong it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be equipped by anybody. It exists only for Edge to throw it. But he's a spoony bard, so why would we not? And Fabul has granted us one of our objectives as we get the Baron Key.
This is also going to be another very interesting thing, because I do not believe that PK's party is ready to actually tackle Baron Castle yet. So we'll see if, you know, they go and unlock that now just to make sure they don't forget to get the objective out of the way, or if they don't want to double dip and they just go do the whole thing later when they have a more prepared party.
Yeah, that is a fair point. Our event says, you know, open doors, ignore contents. We may not be able to ignore the contents. We may have to go and do Baron. We may have to do Sealed Cave.
Oh yes, every runner's favorite dungeon, the Sealed Cave.
I mean that one's a joke. We have the warp glitch on. You can steal the item there and not worry about the boss. But you could technically have to have done it and then just not do it.
Now, Lord Bobry is down in the Fey March. I did not see what was in the Fey March chest. Bobry's feed is a little jittery for me, so we'll see what actually appears on the tracker there.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the same case for me. But I'm sure if it leads them in a specific direction, we'll get an indication.
Meanwhile, our other runners are kind of overlapping each other, going to check to get that magma key from Bedward, checking the various armories that they've all missed. So we're kind of not getting any new territory yet.
And question in chat is asking about the warp glitch that I mentioned with Sealed Cave. The Dwarf Castle, there's something going on with return doors and how warp glitch interacts with those. That means that after you do the Dwarf Castle fights, you get the key item off of the king, and then you hit warp, and it sends you to the crystal room in Sealed Cave for some reason. Walking out of that takes you right back to the throne room, and you're able to steal the item, never do the evil wall spot, never even need the Luca key at all.
Yeah, it's a very nice time save, and unfortunately, we have definitely had matches where runners forget that's the case, or they go in there with either not enough levels for warp or not enough MP after the fight to use warp, which is kind of tragic.
Yep, and of course, as far as I'm aware, the game will never expect you to use that to sort out the logic. But again, when you're racing, it is a wonderful, wonderful time save, because that is a pretty long dungeon.
And all three of our other runners are now going underground as well. So Lord Bobry is not going to be the only one with this knowledge for very much longer.
No, but definitely has a solid head start on that Feymarsh chest. We'll see if anyone else decides to head straight there. We see Xenocat is instead heading to town. I'm going to check out the shops here, probably loot the back real quick for some extra treasure.
Yeah, it's a shame the shop settings are what they are, because there was a rune ring in that shop, which Xenocat would love to have a few of those, but there's just no way they're going to get enough money for it anytime soon.
Yes, we did see our job dwarf, our messenger, this evening with the message, the good tidings of a cursed ring. No character quite yet that we want to stick that on, but we do know about that Tella.
There are no sirens that are going to be available in this seed, so our players do have to fight Zeromas, which means they need levels, and Tella has weak. That's all I'm going to say. Well, Tella has weak once you complete ordeals, so it may still be an option.
Yeah, honestly, this seed, Tella has a fair bit of utility, and a little bit of that just comes from the fact that we know he's out there right now, so we can plan around that.
Ooh, and Xenocat kind of risked some chest opening in Feymarch and got the warrior chest right away, but now can safely open all the rest of the chests.
Yeah, looking for some good loot, looking for that pass potentially. You see, it is just a defense sword in the Feymarch chest. I say just a defense sword, but when we have Kain in the party, that's quite good.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not fighting dragons or aerial enemies, some would say it's Kane's best weapon.
PK appears to be getting a little bit of Chocobop. trying to leave Feymarch.
The true enemy of Final Fantasy IV, the NPCs.
We see that Lord Bobry has gone back to the surface and gone to Fabul. Cleared out the Evil Wall fight, so does have the Baron key. Unfortunately, the stuttering means we don't know what they got off of Sheila, but that check has been completed as well. Still only rocking the 2 characters, so we know they did not go and pick up Edward.
We've got some boss discussion in the chat right now. People saying, hey, they're not checking the summon bosses, which is true. They're not needed. In this case, I might want the information, though, just to know if there's any kind of tricky bosses that I don't have to worry about anymore.
And I guess we can deduce that Sheila has granted the package, given that Lord Bobry has gone to Mist and found a Tella there.
You hate to see it. Copy Tella, Baron in, and the package. Yikes. But at least if you have to open the package, you don't really have a choice. Everybody else is going to have to do it as well.
Yeah, this whole sequence is pretty lengthy, and it's this portion, the actual Mist encounter. The stuff that happens at Kaipo, it's more time lost, essentially, but not a huge amount in comparison.
Yeah, and once you've seen the cutscene, you may as well see the boss as well. It's a very small chance, but there's always a chance that it's demissed behind the package, which would be really unfortunate if you decide to just skip doing the Kaipo portion.
Yeah, if you don't have free items on, you're always worried about where demist is going to be.
But luckily, tonight, not going to be a problem.
I think in Lord Bobry's case, it's more you have 2 party members right now. You can almost take anybody just to pad out the party. And the Kaipo boss fight is pretty much never a trouble spot. It's the second fight in the game, so not very high level, not very high stats to worry about. Oh, and the other prize from Sheila was the Darkness Crystal.
Oh, yikes. So that is, we're quite early to have all locations, all major locations available to our runners here. Because, of course, our runners are still missing the Earth Crystal and the Luca Key, which they need both of those, and they can definitely, the math for key items works out that we're very likely to see at least one of those on the moon.
Yeah, but as you were mentioning, we have Tella here at the package, so everybody's going to have at least that information. We have the Darkness Crystal. Ordeals is ordeals. Folks can gear up for various giant grinds and, pick and choose whichever approach they want to take.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we have the Darkness Crystal, meaning Giant is available. Mount Ordeal's 3 bosses should be quite quick at this point for most of our runners to get weak on Tella. If they want to gain some levels and challenge the moon quite early, definitely within the realm of possibility.
Seems like Xenocat is slightly cursing that quarter shop right now, seeing some items of interest in the football shop and having to clear out the inventory a little to obtain them.
Yeah, many of our players love to have at least a few silk webs, or at least one, I should say, for the Zeromus fight, whether they buy it early or right before they go. Most runners want to get it as soon as they do, so they don't have to actually remember what shop it was at.
Yeah.
I did see Starveils at that same shop as well, and we have not seen either of the bosses, Wyvern or Golbez, that we would want to see that for. So, looks like it is Pale Dim in the inn. Of the moon bosses, probably the one you want to see the most.
Yeah, relatively friendly for a moon boss.
Meanwhile, PK is raising the big whale, so we shall see whether they are going to the giant or the moon.
Now, I would say that maybe Starveils have a little less value tonight, and that's only because we have set on Witchburn. So when we meet Wyvern, it won't open up with Mega Nuke. It'll open up with something. It could be anything. Sometimes that's actually far, far worse. I've seen Wyvern open with Meteo, and you ain't dealing with Meteo. But it could end up being completely harmless, and therefore, Starveils aren't really necessary for that fight.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of moves that Wyvern can use that are not nice at all, especially some moves that are meant to only target one character at once will target your entire party when Wyvern uses it that way. So it can get ugly.
Oh, yeah. It turns out there are some relatively brutal confusion type attacks that are out there. I think I've had it one time that it was kind of emulating the pink puffs, and just you lose control. PK has gone to the moon and found Cure 3s. Not gonna bother to pick any of them up, but that is good information to have. And Harumph has gone and picked up Tella from Baron Inn before going and picking up Tella from the package, or at least, well, visiting. We'll see if they decide to be the first to actually take Tella from this spot.
We see Bobri is also raising the whale, so our players are starting to cross over each other no matter what they did at first. They're kind of getting pushed to the same path.
Yep, and for PK, that path is up ordeals. Definitely intending to power up Tella, because this is 3 boss fights for 1 key item. So you're really not doing this for the item itself. You're doing this for the benefit it gives to Tella and Cecil.
Oh boy, a Cecil on the moon would be very welcome right now.
Unfortunately, it was just another child, but you're always hoping for that paladin to appear. And we are going to be picking up a number of key items that lead to characters. We have the package that leads to a character. Baron's key leads to a character. Earth Crystal leads to 2 characters.
Who knows? Maybe we'll find the other 5-year-old.
Or another Tella.
Spear Tongue in chat asking if anybody checked out Waterway or Kaipo characters. There are no character in the Waterway today because we have no free characters on, and I don't believe any of our runners checked the Kaipo bed either, to be honest.
Yes, that means we have no idea if the Sand Ruby is desirable or just another key item. But we do see that Eblin Royalty is the back attack. So that is a pretty free fight even when you don't have free bosses on.
I always try to kill this boss before the script goes out because it's just so heartbreaking to hear that they came to their senses.
I always try to kill them before the script comes up because I play with no free bosses, so I would have to. But those are the options. Those are the ways that we have so many different kinds of runs during these Monday and Friday community races. As for why Xenocat might be up here doing all this without a Tella, PK also has not picked up Tella. I believe they both know that he's at least at Baron Inn, so there's potential value in this. There's also just levels. Again, Sirens are not going to be available, so you need to do whatever you can get. Xenocat has not even bothered to go back and pick up Edward.
Yeah, that's a very interesting choice considering the spoon. I mean, even if you're not going to use him for really much else, just throwing out some random auto attacks. Because for those who are unaware, Edward is already back row glitched to start with because the harp is a back row item. And the back row flag is not properly removed in this game when you equip a front row item again. So Edward can always deal maximum damage from the back row. So it's not too shabby when he's got that spoon.
And although, as we were saying, he has good utility early on with the spoon, its relative damage, as the game goes on, becomes less and less valuable. You're more likely to trade him away. And he doesn't even have much utility as an anchor character, because the one stat that he's really, really good at is agility. And you don't want agility for an anchor. That's the whole point.
Now, there are definitely niche strategies to use Edward for Zeromus, but they are quite risky, so I would doubt we'll see any kind of risky business with Edward tonight.
BK, now having finished ordeals, is going to pick up the Sage, be instantly powered up. Clearly deciding that the second Porum is either an anchor or to be replaced at a later date.
Yeah, and Tella may be very slow, but you can't scoff at those level 3 black magic spells either if you just need him to get something down really quick. Dark Imp's not a bad boss to see here in Baron Inn at all.
They swing pretty hard. This is the karate spot, the Yang fight, and you know he's punch mage, so he punch. And when the imps are there, they punch.
Yeah, and the problem is the spot is not slow either, so the Dark Imps are always kind of a problem at faster spots, especially since I have not seen any time manipulation items or coffins. We don't have access to those items tonight, so the ways you would normally easily kill Dark Imps are not available.
Yep, there's also always the option of having Palom or Tella use stone. If you want Tella, you either go do the other half of package or complete the fight that you need him for.
Oh, we see PK actually going into the waterway, so we'll get a glimpse here at what the bosses in Baron Castle are.
Yeah, honestly, I forgot what boss was giving them the item at the beginning. And of course, you never get to see who's on the throne until you get there.
Our item tracker, Gundam Pilot Spaz, is informing us that it was the guards at the Blygen spot, so thank you for that.
Another fight that could be relatively free if you had, you know, Tella. Or, you know, if you had items that you can't afford or don't exist in this flag set.
Yeah, I do like to see these seeds with a limited number of tools available, just to see how players react without their usual cheese methods.
Yeah, I suspect that was some of the idea behind the 9 characters and the possibility of even fewer. As you mentioned, there are Edward strats for Zeromus that usually lean on having Fusoya also available. And once you start reducing how many characters there are, the odds of being able to do those strats start to go away. And that's one of the great things about doing these community races. Even if you're an experienced player, they force you to learn and try new things.
That's right, and we saw PK getting through this fight quite quickly with Hasted Edward, or Berserked Edward, excuse me, just taking him out. I will note Dathus is our rain streamer tonight, and we did have Vanilla Legend Sword. I mean, I'm not trying to blame him or anything, but just stating a fact.
You know, some folks develop reputations, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of our more experienced and more consistent runners are fully aware of that. So they see who rolls the seed, they're like, okay, I think I know how this is gonna taste. Chad asking about the package fight. We know Tella is the character. I don't think anyone's gone to Kaipo. So I don't think we know what the boss there actually is.
Looks like Xenocat may finally be going to pick up his first Tella from the or their first Tella from the Baron Inn. We'll see if they can get through these two fights quickly without getting wiped out by those Dark Imps.
And PK has shown us that tonight Baron is a cephalopocracy. Octomam is sitting on the throne, but no longer thanks to that spoony bard.
Quality.
And the twins are reunited as we find Palom coming out of Baron. Be a moment to see what the key item was, but I'm sure PK is already establishing strats for the Quake Kid.
Oh yes, that's some definitely welcome magic power, and it will not take long to get him up to speed.
So Chad asking a few additional questions about our flag set for this evening. You can activate the package and never bother to pick up the character and do the boss fight that's associated with it. That is part of the reason that the Twin Harp is not in here. There's, using the Twin Harp to break the spell and then doing the fight. Unless you have press B to jump activated, those are one and the same. So they don't really fit the idea in here. And kind of the same deal with the pass door. It's a single use kind of thing. And also it meant that if that's an objective, then everyone's going to go through the pass route and offer a little variety in how you get to Zeromus.
We see once again our runners converging, everybody either getting done with Baron Castle or getting done with Baron Inn right now.
Yep. Lord Bobry has gone 2 ordeals and powered up their Tellas. Harumph is showing the power of the Tella, using stone to take out the soldiers and officer in one fell swoop.
Xenocat with the Tella Pride here out in front, going into Baron Castle.
And he is the sage of the waterways, and this is a waterway. It's also technically a sewer, but like we're gonna call it a waterway because it's more dignified that way.
Ooh, PK's heading to the giant. We're about to see one of our two possible giant grinds. I would expect with the tools available, we're going to see D machines.
Yep, that is a perennial favorite. I do believe you picked up some ethers earlier. I know somebody did. I know they were for sale. Those are an excellent tool for doing this.
Yeah, and this is a favorite strategy of mine. If I have access to grind and I have a party that's at least capable of doing Zeromas, I try to get my grind out sometimes very early just to make sure I can blaze through the rest of the seed and maybe make up some time on my opponents that way.
Of course, the giant here will just be good for this grind, since we're not looking for any bosses. PK is not bothering to check the chests in hopes of finding the pass. And if you're all good with your party, which I think PK is doing this grind now, you're not worried about who's at the back of it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be D machines. We've got the correct location. We've got Tella moving to the middle to increase the spell accuracy because a missed week can be catastrophic here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also got to set up the right walk path, get the right encounter. It is one of the more specific grinds that runners will do, certainly more complex than grabbing some sirens and cracking some eggs, but the reward is absolutely there.
Yeah, and you have to be careful though, because there is nothing more tragic than beating 9 or 10 D machines and then taking a wipe.
Yeah, that's a lot of time, a lot of XP just left out on the table.
Looks like PK experience here knows the step count, ran away from the previous encounter, which I'm guessing was actually a centaur fight, and taking this one, which we are hoping is the D machine.
Yeah, that centaur fight is such a red herring. The Xenocat was demonstrating that that concern about XP. They went and frogged the officer just to make sure that he wouldn't run away. Make sure that they got the experience from that kill.
You know, I would like to see a rat tail show up here, not because I want to see what it could be, but I want to give the runners an excuse to go turn in their pigtail as well. Like you said before, we don't have any adamant armor tonight, but that item will be replaced by a top tier item instead. It could be worth it if you're already there to turn in the rat tail.
Yeah, we will need to come across the hook, but also that rat tail could be blocking the earth crystal or the Luca key. We're still 2 items out in terms of our objectives. So 43 minutes in, you might not think, oh, this is still kind of early, but like Modus was saying with PK's grind, it's a little early.
Yeah, and you know, with PK grinding at this point, I would not be surprised at all if when he gets out of the giant, he hops right back in the whale and goes up to the moon to check those boss spots. The math works out at this point of the available locations. The moon is more likely to have things, and if you have the levels to cruise through those fights, it can be some quick checks. If you're just joining us and haven't seen a flag set before where the D machine grind is popular, the reason it is because D machines will get a turn, but their attack deals proportional damage. So as long as your party's healed up, you will not die in that one turn that they get. And of course, as you've seen, they can be weaked so that a single physical attack can kill them after.
Yeah, because their counter when you do physical attacks is a bit more potent. So if you can kill them with one shot, you never have to worry about that. That's also similarly why CPU, which Harumph is fighting, is generally considered free. As long as you know what you're doing, Mazer is always a proportional attack.
Yep, that's for sure. The CPU is more of a damage-based fight. Your danger isn't wiping. Your danger is maybe spending more time than you need to because you don't have the attacking tools that you need to deal decent damage to it.
Certainly. Or not having the physical damage without, an Avenger sword that casts Berserk. Don't Berserk against CPU. That's dangerous.
Oh yeah, you will. You will definitely eat some globes, and that's not nice.
And it seems like Harumph is surrounded by monks as Yang joins the fight to fight Yang.
Yikes. Yang is a very level dependent, so I can't see anyone
Yeah.
taking him at this point.
Yeah, I feel like there's some very interesting kung fu movie happening here. Uh, but Harumph has decided not to take the Punch Mage. And we'll just clear out this fight with his existing party.
Yang was also the package sprite. Just want to point that out as well. So this is very interesting on our screens right now.
I'm telling you, this is some kind of kung fu movie going on here, and it's brilliant. The man whose pure essence burns down a village goes and helps save our pack of heroes from himself in the underground. I mean, it could work.
I'd watch that movie.
Yeah. And we get to watch Harumph use that warp glitch and get the Sand Ruby out of Sealed Cave without requiring the Luca key. We never saw who's in the bed, and now that runners have done the package, if you're going to go to Kaipo, you have to deal with that too. So, pretty low incentive to bother with that. The Twin Harp, maybe you bother with it. It is a key item check, but that's about all you're getting out of it. Well, that and some sweet tunes.
Yeah, Twin Harp is usually not a popular check among runners just because of the length of the cutscenes. However, there is a certain incentive if you're being restreamed. The crowd likes the music, so we may see some runners check that who may not normally do so.
Well, as Harumph was taking care of the Dwarf Castle, PK has taken care of his grind. I saw levels in the high 40s. That is a pretty solid spot to be in.
Harumph finally finding some cabins. That's basically one of the few things our players were definitely looking for from shops, just for convenience.
Certainly makes things easier if you're digging the moon boss fights. You're gonna want to heal between them in all likelihood.
Oh yeah, and especially with Tella and kind of just a mid-level Quake Kid here, your MP's not going to hold up if you don't have those cabins. You're gonna, unless you want to hike all the way to the top to eat the pot.
Nobody wants to hike all the way up.
Hope you saved enough MP for exit.
I would not be surprised if there are runners participating in this race who have forgotten that the pots exist at the top of the moon, because it's just so rarely worth doing.
Xenocat is hungry for some treasure, is checking the towers in Dwarf Castle. We usually only see runners checking this on higher treasure flags, but not feeling good about their party power here, so...
It looks like Harumph is not living up to their name, as they are going and giving the people the music. Heading into Cave Magnus. Could also be giving himself an essential key item. So, it's not just for y'all watching.
Oh yeah, I would love to see Earth Crystal here. It'd be very convenient and would also ensure that we see music from all players.
But it does seem like we have multi-ball going on as Harumph is making this journey, so we'll give it a moment and we'll let y'all listen to some interesting tunes from Edward as the rest of our runners beat up on some orbs. We're finally getting the parish mark. Edward has provided us with the magma key earlier. What music is he going to provide us today?
And this is the first time I've heard this tune. It's from Final Fantasy IX. Nice work.
Quite the boss to find here.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is at least we're not finding this Ogopogo at a higher HP spot. The spoon should be enough to power through here pretty quickly. Yep, there's the Berserk on Edward. Should be through here momentarily.
And there we go. Kind of sad that our Black Mage wasn't available for this fight with the Black Mage Village music, but so it goes.
And you're the only one who knows.
Wasn't expecting a Billy Joel reference tonight. Wasn't expecting the hook there either, but that does open up the pink tail and really nothing else of consequence. We have our route to the underground, so not quite the big pull, but PK is going to follow that harp regardless.
Now, this is where we could see another divergence from our runners tonight, because the hook will get another character check. So depending on how far along they are and how happy they are with their party, they may spend some time to go to Cave Evelyn and see what that character is.
True, and if they're not interested or not satisfied with the equipment that they have, there are shops down there as well.
And some gated treasure chests too. So,
It's true.
it all depends on how, we'll say, confident, secure our runners are feeling by this point.
Harumph is either feeling rather cozy or rather upset. that he has to go and deal with this quick antlion fight at the inn. Because again, we did the first half of package, and if you're coming to Kaipo, you got to do the second half.
Yeah, that's a tough sell, especially if you haven't even seen who's in the bed yet to know if you're going there for a needed reason or not. I had a little bit of a musical troll there on PK's screen, but you know, whatever works.
Can't say we saw that coming. Except we kind of saw that coming. Happy birthday, Dathis.
Well, if you are paying attention here, you'll notice our runners are running out of checks. Basically, all that's left here is Keyless Tower or the moon, so we're going to start to see what these moon bosses are. Oh, but not yet, because Harumph is going to go grind.
Yeah, PK is the only one with the levels to really feel confident going to the moon. So Harumph is probably getting himself into that position as quick as possible.
I'm sorry to say, chat, that tonight there is no value at Cave Bahamut. RIP, Cave Bahamut.
Yes, there's also no value at the Fame Arch bosses, but that's par for the course, apparently. Yeah, Xenocat is doing the same giant grind as well. Looks like they will also pull in some D machines for some levels.
Yeah, and this is somewhere where a runner who is very experienced with the D machine grind can definitely save a lot of time over somebody else. I think we've all had a race where kind of we couldn't quite get the fight how we wanted it, quickly get it to show up, or messed one up and have to wipe, and it can really make a big difference in your time.
And of course, if you aren't familiar with how to do it at all, you're putting yourself at an even larger disadvantage.
Yeah, I
it's not
actually
as
try to have I actually try to have the chart up myself if it's a seed that I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to do it, because I can never remember the steps.
Yeah, it's not, essential for on every seed. There'll be a decent number where you don't do it, but man, it's one of those strats that you want to know and you want to practice.
Yeah, especially we used to have some events where we had a lot of defeat the giant, basically seeds, where your goal would be to beat the boss and the giant rather than Zeromus. And wow, if you didn't know how to D machine grind and those, you're pretty much done, dead on arrival.
Yeah. And Chad has pointed out that our runners, by and large, having converged, they've converged on 11 key items. Once you hit more than 10, your XP gains are doubled. So these grinds are going to be a lot more effective than PKs. That is the downside of doing it that much earlier. It makes certain fights go faster and you make up time that way, but it costs time relative to a later grind.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this party is one that's going to need quite a few levels to feel secure at Zeromus. Remember, we're looking for about 2200 HP on characters in order to be safe for the majority of Big Bangs, unnerfed, that is. Now, if our runners feel good about nerfing every Big Bang, then they can certainly go much quickly. Oh, and we see Wyvern.
And it's Sonic Wyvern. It's got to go fast.
Oh, man. Oh.
So that's not the worst thing, I guess. It doesn't open terribly, but the remainder of its script is where it becomes a little scary, because the remainder of the script is unchanged.
Yeah, usually on Wyvern, after surviving the initial Mega Nuke, runners are relying on the fact that it can only kill one character at once before you can revive them. But if Wyvern is hasted, that's not the case. So this could go either way. It's going to be a very sharp damage race. Looks like with the Berserks, going to be able to make headway here for sure.
Yep, and setting up to reflect nukes, because, again, Wyvern's script after the first move is the same, and step 2 is put up a wall. So a direct attack with magic is not a good idea. But a direct attack with a bard will do the trick.
Oh wow, look at that white on Palom already. Palom also in safe HP already. Pretty nice for your main white mage.
And that Earth Crystal is pretty nice for our objectives.
So we have confirmed required Wyvern at the bottom of the lunar subterrane. Pretty dicey here. I'm glad to see it, though. We'll see which of our runners go bottom up versus top down. Although they're still looking for that Luca key, so it could be on the moon or it could be at that keyless tower.
PK has also found Ashura in a pretty rude location, just judging by her speed, going through the entire cycle very rapidly.
Yeah, Ashura on the moon is straight up not a good time. Some of the normal ways to cheese Ashura are either slow or very hard to execute when she's fast, as you're seeing here. Life locking would be really tough, and you can stop her from healing yourself by walling her, but that doesn't mean your characters aren't still going to die, because she's hitting, if she one-shots you, there's no chance for those reflected heals to get you back up.
And it doesn't help if every single healing spell seems to pick the exact same character.
Oh yeah, and PK's Palom is casting Meteo. Meteo has the longest cast time of any magic in the game, but it does go through Reflect, so
Yeah, so do swords, though, so Kane is taking care of things, giving him the adamant ore. So that is an Excalibur available for the Cecil we don't have. Not exactly what PK is looking for here.
yeah, and at this point, the Coco shop would have to be very lucky in order to have items that would be useful enough to go there and turn this in. Now, what
Yeah,
would really be rude right now is if our final key item is behind the Earth Crystal and PK is conceivably wasting time here.
and that is entirely possible. We've got the Ogopogo spot, we've got the Pale Dim spot at the top, and the Wyvern spot kind of in the middle. And from there, that it's Earth Crystal and its tower. Like we're getting to the point where the moon and the Earth are about equal on options, and PK's only real reason to stay here is that he's here already.
Yeah, and keeping count here of Harumph and Xenocat, both of them should be finishing up with their grinds here any moment.
Yeah, because again, that 10 key item boost, you're getting quite a bit off of each D machine, and then double that with the life glitch. Uh, and then double that with 10 key. You're getting lots of XP. I wouldn't be surprised if any of our runners accidentally overshoot.
You know, that might not be such a bad thing. Our party is lacking power a little bit, and if they want to do Berserk strats, having an Edward who can actually survive a Big Bang wouldn't be such a bad thing.
This is true. And that is a tower key from the Ogopogo spot that PK has just picked up.
Not bad at all, and PK annihilated that Mom Bomb as well. Was got burned through it extremely quickly. It didn't even have a chance to start its exploding script.
Yeah, you don't see that very often.
Now we do see that Lord Bobry did take Yang, so we may see a little bit different strategy at Zeromus from Bobry than the others.
Yeah, he took him in replacement of Edward, so I think he'll fill the same role. That being just a straightforward Zerx damage dealer. Uh, but being young, he's got tons of HP, so the worries that you're going to have around Edward surviving Big Bangs and whatnot, they're not going to be there. You're not going to worry about that.
Yeah, you know, if there's anything, there's kind of a lack of equipment for Yang because he's not intended to be an endgame character. But the one good thing is, as you say, his HP level. He can survive multiple Big Bangs if you just level him to the same level that the rest of your characters are going to be safe at. So it can be highly useful, especially if you need maybe someone to throw ethers or cure threes. So.
Yeah, from what I recall looking at the various tables on this game, he is one of two characters who can naturally approach quad 9 HP, the other being Sid, of all people. You had to roll high on a lot of the level up random rolls, but I believe it was possible.
We see a Xenocat coming out of the leveling first, kind of lapping Harumph here. So that's I wouldn't say it's a a place change, although they have the same key items except for the hooks, so getting very close to each other at this point.
Yeah, I caught a glimpse of their character list. I was seeing 54, 55 range, which is pretty healthy. That's about where PK is and maybe a little higher.
Oof, the Wyvern spots a bust did get a crystal ring, which is a great accessory, great magic defense on it, which is what we're concerned about for Zeromus, but not what PK was looking for. So, gonna get the heck out of there and get back to Earth.
Looks like he is going to check that one last location that very easy to forget is up here since it's on a different branch of the subterrane. But at this point, you don't want to abandon one location when you're looking for one item.
That's right, because it's always the spot that you fade that has what you need, and it will screw you.
Rumpf has also finished with the D Machine grinds. We're seeing spells pop up one after another. There's Meteo, there's Nuke. Why not? Everyone can learn everything. When you're level 73 on the child.
Wowzers. Yeah, so that's a big grind from Harumph. Palom going straight from basically initial level to, you know, 10 levels above where he needs to be to get all of his spell list.
So I'm pretty sure Palom there was a proper slingshot. If you have a character in a full party that is more than 5 levels, I believe it is, below the average of the rest of the party, then they will gain additional XP until that is no longer the case. And if you're getting all your XP in one shot, like you do with D machines, that's a lot. And that is, as Death has said, power overwhelming.
I heard that in the Archon voice from StarCraft. Very good.
Well, I didn't say it in the Archon voice from StarCraft, so you might be hearing things.
I'll have to get that checked out after the match. Meanwhile, Xenocat is now up on the moon, has discovered that kind of rude wyvern. See how they deal with it here.
I suspect they'll be taking the same strat that PK took. We're seeing some Zerked characters, and a wall went up to bounce some nukes.
And the StarCraft references aren't out of place here. I mean, they have Dragoons in that game. We have a Dragoon in our party here, you know.
There's space. Space is happening.
Space is happening, indeed. And Wyvern's nukes are not even enough to one-shot Xenocat's characters, so I think they're pretty safe on this one.
And their Tella isn't even able to one-shot himself. You know, that they also took Yang in place of Edward. So we will see similar strats on either side, but the left side of your screen is the Edward side and the right side is the Yang side. Yes, meanwhile, PK has returned to Earth and returned directly to the tower, going to make use of that tower key.
Yeah, you love to see it. Looks like our spectators are going to get either full information about this seed or 99% of the information about this seed. And now that almost everybody is leveled up, it's an all-out sprint to the finish here to get these checks done.
Yep, the big question right now, where is that Luca key? We just need to find that Luca key.
And they've the ones who have done Dwarf Castle have already even gotten the item. They don't even need to check the dungeon. They just have to unlock the door. I tell you what though, it has been some time before I've seen these kind of HP values on an Edward.
Certainly not without apples.
Oh, pleasant dreams of adamant spoon word, apple word.
That is someone who can just take care of Zeromus on his own. Or you don't actually need any of that, but, it's a bit easier when he's powered up beyond comprehension. It looks like it was just Zeus gauntlets at the top of tower. So, no luck just yet. This will be a very quick fight at the Super Cannon. This is always a very quick fight. Not much HP to speak about here.
You love to see a troublesome boss like Magus Sisters at this spot for sure.
Xenocat has cleared through Ashura, Harumph right behind them.
Yeah, and we've got to expect that Lord Bobry is close to done or done with the grind as well. We haven't seen his screen move in quite a while, but you know, it's been in the battle for long enough that he's got to be almost done.
Yeah, realistically, we saw him join the grind around the same time as Harumph and Xenocat. So yes, realistically, he's on the moon and has been for a little bit, but we have no clue as to his progress, unfortunately.
Now, this is a reminder, we're starting to get deep enough into this seed that there is the threat of off-screen runners now. Depending on what way they've gone, a lot of these key items were dead ends, so there was a significant time gain that could have been made. And there are 18 other players that you are not seeing who are also running this race. So all of our featured runners have got to watch out here.
Yeah, Dathis is spelling it out because we have checked every other possibility at this point. Uh, so Earth Crystal is going to have the rat tail, which is going to give us the Luca key.
So that's a confirmed. We're going to get a full 17 out of 17. And bonus round, no one has found any of our 3 passes. So they're going to have to walk all the way back down.
Yeah, PK is even hitting up the Troya Treasury, not just opening it for the objective. May have been looking for a pass in there. At the very least, got that crystal mail. So there's a bit of money out of that because I don't expect anyone's picking up Cecil at this point.
No, it's much too late. There's no time now. You can't do another grind. You are just inviting other runners to lap you.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I kind of expected more treasure looting, given the presence of the pass, but there's been little enough that no, we haven't seen any of them. Granted, Eblin Cave we haven't really had cause to dig, and pretty much every other location of interest, there's the trap chest concern. But even so, kind of expected a little more than what we wound up with.
Yeah, and with the fact that our on-screen runners are all basically going to get a 17 out of 17, 17 out of 17 is not required in order to beat this seed. So there's definitely a real off-screen threat here because at this point, with the grinds available, the characters available, it's definitely possible for someone to be in this Aromas fight right now.
Yes, unfortunately, PK is in the Golbez fight right now. So we get to deal with this cutscene. And
required Golbez. You hate to see it.
Yep.
So good thing there were Star Veils available in shops, right? Since we had to fight Wyvern and Golbez.
Yep. And that virus hitting reasonably, but not horrifically. So, okay, the Lit 3, on the other hand, that was a bit of a thing.
Big oof.
Yeah, this being the Magus Sister spot, you would expect pretty strong magic attacks. But PK is leveled up pretty well and has pretty strong physical attacks.
And we get the why? Goodbye, Golbez. But the Harumph is right on PK's trail. Like, got to the moon much later than PK, but is now caught up. So that's a big threat.
Yep, that is the benefit of honestly fading some spots that wound up not being valuable. That entire tower was nothing.
Oh my gosh, a third Tella. Come on, Seed. We get it. You like the old men.
That's enough. That's enough sages for today.
So just to reiterate, we had up to 9 characters we could have had in this seed, and instead we got 4 Tellas. 4 Tellas.
Yeah, we have seen 6 distinct characters total. Now,
I mean,
it is possible there is 9 distinct characters. We haven't gone to the hook. We haven't seen who's at Sand Ruby. We haven't seen who's at the end of the Giant. But come on.
I mean, I stand Tella as much as anyone else when I need some weak or some exit, you know what I'm saying? But otherwise, woof.
It is a spectacle of a character set that we've seen today.
Oh, coming at you fresh from the race channel, chat. We do have an off-screen first place finish from Zilch with a time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 25 seconds.
So GG and congratulations to Zilch. PK has just picked up the rat tail. We'll be following that chain in short order. This also, interestingly enough, means that music was required because we needed to get that hook.
Haha, you thought we were not requiring music tonight, but we actually were. Oh, can you imagine? How rude would that be if you faded music, got to this point, and realized you have to go check it now?
Well,
all you want is your last item.
I would say, well, at least you'll be at Baron when you have that realization. That's assuming that you did everything on the moon. And you're not left with that decision of, do I go to Cape Magnus or do I clear out what I faded?
Oof, yeah, you know, because as we've been saying, yes, it's as we've seen, Zilch is already finished. We're gonna have probably more finishers here soon. This is like the bottom end of completion possibility for this seed. But if you did the wrong things in the wrong order and fade a few things that these players didn't fade, your time on this seed could easily be 2 hours plus. And with 22 runners total, I'm sure some tonight are gonna take that long for sure.
Yep, there are enough tricky moments and enough possibilities that you can just have a bad run of it. Or as we were talking about earlier with the grinds, if any of those go poorly, you're losing a lot of time that you wish you had. And speaking of time, we do have a second place off stream, as Poydrak has come in with a 128.23. But that is the crystal for PK, so he is going to find his way to Zeromus ASAP.
Which unfortunately means a long hike. No pass in sight. PK's party is definitely Zeromus ready now, though, so that they have that. He has that going for him. Not wasting any time there. Xenocat is now going over the same check, gonna go get the objective completed for opening the armory, and I've got to expect will actually check the treasure chest now. It's just the allure of a possible pass here is too good to pass up. We get another Excalibur from that pink tail. Excellent.
Mm-hmm. Plenty of powerful holy swords for our party with no paladin.
To borrow a line from Chrono Trigger, but the paladin never came.
So as PK is making this lengthy trek, I'm a little surprised chat hasn't asked the most important question of this game, but I shall bring it up, and I shall ask you, Lore Master Motas, just whose butt are we gonna kick?
Well, it's really an impossible question to answer, isn't it? Is it a metaphorical butt? Because some of these sprites, in fact, do not have butts.
I mean, at the moment, it is perhaps Schrodinger's butt, as we will not know until it is observed. When PK uses that crystal on Zeromus, and we get to witness one of several hundred sprite possibilities thanks to Scala Kitty and the wonderful devs of this randomizer. It could be a number of things, including a number.
Oh, yes. And before it's revealed, we did have a third place finish from Jeebus Zero. Third place, 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 3 seconds off screen. So right now, our featured runners are kind of fighting for fourth place.
I'm afraid they'll be fighting for fifth place. Flurry 14 has just finished with a 132.54.
GG's to Flurry, and we will now see Crystal's going to be thrown here soon. His true form will be revealed, and yeah.
Aww. It's almost unfortunate that his true form is his true form. This is the Zeromus form in the DS re-release, I want to say.
Yes, if there's one thing you can say about 1990s Squaresoft, it's that they love their unholy amalgamations of different bodies.
That is definitely a thing they did several times.
And unfortunately for our runners, it does not actually make the boss easier. It's same stats, same attack patterns, but considering PK's levels, shouldn't be too much of an issue. We're seeing pretty standard reflect strats here, which eliminates half of the HP pool. Reflected spells are not countered by Zeromus, meaning it doesn't get the chance to use its script that refills its HP. And this game is programmed with a hard cap HP limit that they wanted to have some bosses that had more HP. So those bosses have a script to basically restore their HP at certain points. If they're getting spells reflected at them, that just doesn't happen.
It also doesn't hurt that Edward is casually doing 5,000 plus damage with every swing of that spoon.
Too true. And although PK is in this final fight, all set up, ready to go, has been further sniped off screen by Coffee and Chocobos with the 5th place finish of 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 47 seconds. Congratulations, Coffee and Chocobos.
And indeed, Dusty Griff has taken 6th place with a 135.14. we are hitting that point. We're gonna see a cluster of finishes anytime now. So PK is racing against who knows how many other runners.
Ooh, we get the swag white cast. You don't see that too often.
Yeah, because if you don't reflect it, that's an incredibly dangerous maneuver.
Meanwhile, Xenocat getting their rat tail, going to be heading in, does not have the hook yet, so that's unfortunate. Going to have to go get that first. So out of choices, going to be forced into the music path. Oh yeah, just now went to get the airship, has now realized they do not actually have the hook.
Yep, they are gonna have a moment and figure out what they actually need to do. But PK needs to do no more, having finished seventh place with an official time 1:36:44.
Oh, that was a fun seed.
Welcome, PK. I would ask how you felt about it, but I think you have opinions.
Well, I mean, when you're being restreamed, I think it's important to clear every single key item location.
We appreciate the thoroughness. Now, where was the pass?
Where was the pass? I went up to the tower and I was like, okay, one of these has to be pass or rat tail or the Luca key, and then it wasn't any of them, and then I had to go look at the flags and realize there wasn't going to be a pass. So that's why I went into the treasury. It was like, maybe it's in here.
Yeah, no, nobody has found a pass anywhere. And I mean, Xenocat right now is looting through Cave Magnus. People are looking hard for that thing and just can't find it.
I was, I was going through my head, like, was there anywhere obvious that I didn't loot? But I did, Orf, I did, I looted all of the, like, lower Baymarch area. Didn't think of, unless maybe you went into Cave Eblin, but I can't think of a reason why you would want to do that in this seed.
Yeah, for a 17 out of 17, that was the big area that nobody bothered with because there was really no reason to.
No, I mean, I was thinking about when you have like 5 Tellas in the seed too, I just don't want to risk having to find the 5th Tella or the 6th Tella down at the hook route. But I feel like I could have kept a slingshot 2 Porums and a Palom, and then I decided Spoon Eddie was just too much fun to have around. So that was a big determining factor for me. It was just, these flags are fun, and I didn't realize Spoon flag was on until I got the Spoon.
Yeah, which you got that like right out of the gate. Spoon Edward was actually kind of carrying for a little bit throughout this seed, which you don't see that very often.
He did work. I was really glad he got the last hit on Zeromus. I mean, all around, good work, Eddie. But yeah, this was great. Thank you, Puffin and Motos. Gundam, I hope the first tracking went well. I'm sure it did. And happy birthday again to Dathis, the restreamer.
Awesome, awesome. Well, anything else you would want to give us before we let you go, PK?
I don't know if you got it on stream, but I tried to mute Eddie playing the harp and played Happy Birthday for Dathis on my keyboard, and I don't know if it got through.
Oh, we got it.
There was just dead silence, radio silence. I wasn't entirely sure, but all right, that was the only reason I volunteered to be restreamed to begin with. But you all have a great night. Happy birthday again, and we'll take care.
All right, take care, PK.
Well, while we are waiting to see if we can get the Harumph in, we did have eighth place finish from Moonblaze Wolf, ninth place finish from Dragus, a forfeit from Dishmu, and Harumph taking 10th place with a time of 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 27 seconds. And we are now joined by the Harumph, our 10th place finisher tonight, second featured restreamer to finish. How would you think of that seed, Harumph? Oh, maybe no audio yet.
Yep, we'll give it a moment to sort out.
Yeah, we can definitely see here that this seed was a tightly controlled path because we are having finishers come in. We've got another Twisted Flax in 11th place, 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 59 seconds. So we're about halfway through the pack already. They're nicely clustered here. I can expect that most of these players did full clears as well.
Are you able to hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Perfect. I just have to remember here how to work with Discord here. I'm just not used to this. Yeah, with regard to the seed here, I don't know, getting my controller to work here was, cooperating with me here was a bit of a struggle here, and I was making, I guess maybe it was nerves here in terms of, remembering to take care of a few things. But yeah, like once I got to the moon, once I cleared ribbon here and the whites, it's like, my guess was it might be behind Tower Zod at that point here, so it might be gated. So I took that guess, and fortunately it paid off here, and it didn't end up with a full clear. Otherwise, I probably would have full cleared this as well.
Yeah, full clear was a very, very high probability, but you're skipping out and ultimately not getting the tower key. That saved you a fair bit of time. That was one of many misleading branches throughout this seed that pretty much everybody approached.
Yeah, I guess I was fortunate not to see tower key in that case here. I don't even know where it was here because I haven't really gone through to see here where the other items were here. But yeah, I could imagine doing tower before Zod. So.
What was your biggest moment of excitement during this seed? Like, where were you at when you were like, okay, now I know what I need to do?
Again, I think it goes back to the guess here to go through Zot instead of clearing the moon here. So once I saw the rat tails going, all right, maybe. So it's like, all right. So I went straight for rat tail here, and then when I saw Luke Key, it's like sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and this time I was lucky for sure.
Like I said, it saved you a good chunk of time, and you had a pretty solid Zeromus fight at the end there, thanks to a pretty robust grind that you did earlier on. So really, it was just the distribution that was playing mean to you. The bosses seemed to more or less cooperate.
Yeah, here and like at that D machine grind here, there were some points here where it was a little dice, touch and go here, and I actually forgot how many that actually got knocked off here. So I probably spent a few extra minutes here than I could have on that one here. But overall, once the D machine was over and done with here, it was fairly smooth sailing in terms of the bosses going from there. Wasn't too worried about anyone else.
And I saw as the credit scroll went for you that you had 84 treasure total. Were you actively looking for the pass in chests, or did you just kind of hope to find it? And if you didn't, oh well.
Yeah, for me, it was a hope. The pass was a nice to have here, but if I didn't find it, it would, it's a few minutes here from the moon to, from the top of the moon to the bottom of the moon here, so I wasn't too worried about it here. It would, the way it pathed out here, because I didn't have to go back, make a few extra trips here to the moon as a result here. I think whether I had the pass or not here was kind of moot.
Yeah, that's fair enough, and seems like nobody managed to stumble upon it regardless, so didn't end up costing you much of anything in that regard. Any other last thoughts you want to give about the seed, about how you played through it, about the flag set?
Overall here, like I'll probably when I do watch it back here, I'll probably aside here from the silly little stuff here, which I'll give some nerves here. I thought I did okay on the seed here. I'll try to review here, see where I can improve for the next time. But yeah, like that went overall more smoothly than other seeds, than certainly other community seeds I've run. So I'll take this as a win for sure.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you for putting your hand up for the restream too. We know a lot of times it can take some guts to get out there in front of however many viewers we've got at a time. So thank you. We couldn't have this nice, entertaining race without you.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you here to everyone who's putting in their time here to as a restreamer here, a tracker here, and our commentary here. You're doing it. You've got that's a great job you're doing as well here. So.
Thank you. And while we're waiting here, Xenocat is about to go into the Zeromus fight, saving up. And we should mention, if you are not part of the free enterprise community yet, you got to get to our Discord. It's a very fun community, very welcoming, very easy for new players to get started. There's all sorts of guides. There's a newbies corner channel where our community can help you, like if you get stuck on a new seed or you want to try some different flags. It is a really great time, and I can't recommend it enough. It's one of the best places in the speedrunning community for sure, in my opinion.
Yes, and absolutely always recommend following the runners that we have on this stream tonight. The Harumph, Xenocat, 823543, PK4787, Lord Bobry. They've all put themselves forward for your entertainment. You may recognize PK's name from the Football Gauntlet. You may recognize one or two others that we're saying. Probably don't recognize everybody. This is a broad community, and there's room for the highly skilled, highly experienced players and folks who are just tackling it casually.
Yeah, and we have things like Seed of the Week that encourage you to try different flag sets that you might not normally pick for yourself. And it's asynchronous races. You don't always have to be available. There's all sorts of ways to get into this game, whether that be racing, non-racing, and community stuff. So
we have flag sets like this one for trying things that you're not usually going to try. I don't know who would do this objective set just as their normal play, but it makes for an interesting seed, as we've seen.
it looks like we have another forfeit, so we are down to just a few racers now. Xenocat going to be our third featured runner to finish, it looks like.
Yeah, again, Lord Bobry has been having those technical issues, so we've only been getting bits and pieces. It looks like he went to the tower. Possible that he did pick up the tower key in the process of doing the moon, but if that's his play, he probably did not pick up the hook. But as I say all that, I'm seeing in our chat that he actually has finished with a 151.05.
It looks like we will. It looks like we will not be getting Bobry in here for an interview, but GG's to Lord Bobry. We didn't get to see a lot of your match, but good play regardless. This was a tough seed.
Yeah, I would love to hear a playback on that one, hear about his approach and all of that, but unfortunately won't be able to do that this evening. We are seeing Xenocat go through pretty similar strats to the other runners, setting up a wall, setting up some Zerks, and then just reflecting spells left and right. Yang not doing nearly as much damage as that Spoon Edward, but making it work. You know, how tragic it is that you're only doing 2,000 or 3,000 damage.
That's for sure. And just for the viewers' information, I'm kind of looking through the chatter from all our other races in our spoiler channel, and it seems like hardly anybody found a pass tonight. So I don't know where there are 3 passes in this seed somewhere, but they are all hiding out.
Yeah, I mean, you can see in the credits there's 399 treasure spots, I believe. I don't know exactly how many are on the moon, but that's still over 300 spots that those 3 passes could be. For all we know, they're sitting crumpled up in chocobo forests.
The infamous hidden in chocobo forest pass.
Yeah, those are the spots that you need to know if you're going to do a dark matter hunt.
Oh, ooh, I just had some killer flashbacks. Ooh, yikes.
There are many ways to play free enterprise, and some of them you will only want to do once.
We can see no need for Xenocat to get super fancy. The party is very leveled, can easily survive most big bangs, and will be slicing through Ezeromus pretty soon here.
Looks like a slice indeed. That is Zeromus sinking into space. Xenocat has finished in 13th place overall with a time of 1:54:39. GG.
Looks like Xenocat will be joining us for an interview here shortly. But in the meantime, I want to give another shout out to the team tonight. We did have Dathis on the restream, Gundam Pilot Spaz on his first tracking shift tonight. Excellent job to both of them, and saved us a few times actually. And of course, my co-commentator Hupfin here.
Well, thank you very much for that, Motos. think we do have Xenocat right available. Xenocat, do you hear us? Seems like not just yet.
Yeah, we should note that when our runners are featured, they in general have all sorts of things going on, like their mic is off and their chat is on emote only, and they don't have their webcam on because it just makes it easier to restream them. So a lot of times we have like microphones off or not here.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries, no worries.
I'm good now.
So I will ask how you felt about the seed overall, but I want to get in your head on that moment when you tried to pick up the hovercraft and had the realization.
Yep. I tried to pick up the hovercraft and realized, oh wait, I don't have the hook. And then of course it's the next place I check.
Were you worried about any other places, or like
I was
I'm
a little worried about tower because I faded top of tower for a while, and I wasn't that worried about the tower key since the tower key was on the moon, I think. But I mean, that was where I was gonna go next if it wasn't Twin Harp.
Yeah, well, fortunately, you didn't have to spend that time in the tower that had just nothing, completely barren.
Gosh.
What would say now, considering this was such a long seed with a lot of checks necessary, what would you consider to be your favorite part of this one?
I don't know. I liked how easy it was to get 10 key items relatively early on, and how it really set you up for D-Machine grind before going moon. That was really nice.
Yeah.
Just the double key item, I think double key item from Dwarf with the warp glitch was very nice. Plus the early pan and magma key.
Yeah, those were both just completely free. So you had the easiest Fabul possible.
Yeah, it was wonderful to single dip Fabul.
Once it started to get down to the nitty gritty and you knew you were going to have to fight a significant amount of moon bosses, what was going through your brain there?
Well, I wasn't that worried about the moon bosses because my plan was once I hit 10 key items or I got a decent party, which both happened after the Dwarf Castle check once I got Yangin out and kicked out the second Porum, and I got 10 key items right there. I was like, well, I have my party, I have my 10 key item bonus, now's as good a time as any to D-Machine, and I may as well just D-Machine up to the levels I need and then clear moon, because that's what seemed to be the more key item dense area.
Yeah, I think that's the route all of the featured runners went, and considering the finish times, I'm thinking most of the off-screen runners did the same thing as well. So it was a very popular strategy tonight for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, it did end up paying off, at least from the ribbon room. Nothing else up there paid off, but it feels really bad to have to double dip moon. And since I was still looking for a Luca key and potentially a tower key for a bit, it was a little bit, and a hook and a rat tail. It was like there were just too many key items missing to think about dipping out until I'd cleared the whole thing.
Yeah, I believe really I think only Harumph of the featured runners faded anything on the moon.
That makes sense. There were just too many loose key items out there that could be gating the Luca key at that point.
Awesome. Well, thank you for putting your hand up to be restreamed tonight. And is there anything more you want to say about the seed before we let you go?
No, thanks for restreaming me. It was a pleasure to run this seed.
Pleasure to have you on the restream. GG again. And with that, I believe we are wrapping it all up. I believe we are set to send you all over to Randomania, as they're starting a Final Fantasy 1 randomizer race. Any last words about us?
Nothing more except to keep on showing up, keep on watching, keep on playing, and we all love it.